Hi, I'm Phil Parker. About 3 decades ago, I graduated from osteopathic college, became an osteopath, and worked a lot with people trying to find solutions to problems that nobody had any really good ideas on how to fix. And as a result, I worked a lot with chronic fatigue and ME. But I found that working physically with them, just purely with osteopathy, I just couldn't get the changes that they really wanted to get. It seemed like they could change, and then that change wouldn't hold. So I retrained and I got extra skills. I worked as a hypnotherapist, a psychotherapist, an NLP practitioner, a coach. I did a PhD in health psychology, trying to find new ways to think about things, and putting all those ideas together over time came up with a new solution called the lightning process. And people often ask me, so is the lightning process psychological or is it physical? Does it think that this illness is psychological or physical? And it's quite a complicated answer to that quite simple question. First thing is, the lightning process and my work is very, very clear that ME and chronic fatigue are a physical illness, a physiological illness. It's not a psychological illness. And with my background in looking at psychology and psychotherapy, and also as an osteopath looking at physical illness, I'm in quite a good position to look at that and give a judgment on it. It's a physical illness, and this absolutely coincides with what the World Health Organization thinks. But because of my qualifications and often the rapid change that people get using the lightning process, people think, I wonder if Phil thinks if CFS and ME are psychological. And I really don't. It's just a misunderstanding that people seem to have assumed, because I think this is the key thing. We say the problem with ME and CFS is physiological, without any doubt. There's things going on in the way your body's processing energy. There's definitely changes in hormones. There's a whole range of research that's identified that. There's also changes in grey matter in the brain. So it's definitely physiological. I think the confusion comes because what we say is what we need to do to change that physiology in order to get the treatment to hold. You remember I said as an osteopath I often found that treatment didn't stick, and people report this a lot. In order to get the treatment to hold, to get any effect that you take from your nutrition or your acupuncturist or whatever it may be, we need to identify why is the physiology not going back to normal. So what we look at with the lightning process is we look at how can you help to reset your physiology? How does the way our brain work and our central nervous system work affect our physiology, and how can we influence that brain function? But I think as soon as you mention the word brain, people think, oh, brain is psychology. Well, the brain isn't just psychology. The brain, of course, it processes emotions and it processes thoughts, but it also processes all the kind of plumbing, all the nuts and bolts of the body as well. And that's what we're really interested in. How can we affect the brain to change the way the physiology works? The other thing is that psychological interventions, in my experience for CFS and ME, don't work very well. They're about coping, dealing with illness behaviour, that kind of stuff, but that's not really the problem. People with chronic fatigue and ME are genuinely ill. They're not pretending. Their body is not functioning properly, and just thinking positive thoughts or pushing through your perceived limitations are not going to resolve this, because your physiology isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. We need to find a way to address that. So when people say, oh, the lightning process thinks it's all in people's minds, it really doesn't. We've never said that. It's completely not part of my belief system about what's going on in chronic fatigue and ME. It's a physical illness. I have said that about 100 times on this particular video, and I've always said it when people have asked me. But we do think a way to start to change the physiology is to look at how can you influence the way your brain functions. So I hope that clarifies something that's it's been kind of bugbear for me over the last 30 years, where people misunderstand for some reason or other the fundamentals of the lightning process. The lightning process says chronic fatigue ME, it's a physiological, physical illness. We need to change that physiology if we're going to get real lasting change. What we look at is how can we help you to do that by changing the way your brain works. So hopefully that clarifies that finally. Bye.